All right, ladies and gents. Yeah, damn, I didn't think I was going to get this thing up and running for a second now, but we've made it, we're here. So welcome guys. Got a couple of people online. Let's give it another, 30 seconds, see if anyone joins us. Let us know about the audio as well, guys. If it sounds okay, I've got a microphone set up. So today, guys, the plan is, and I'm just writing in the comments right now. Handstand workshop. We're going to be workshopping handstands for 1 hour. And what that means is that it's going to be minimalist, right? And even when I do the full length, workshops on this, it's always pretty minimalist. Instead of having like 2 or 3 options for each thing, we're probably just going to have like 1, maximum of 2 options for each section of this, right? And this workshop is built into 4 sections. We'll do a Broga warm up as well. We'll kind of do a Broga 1 joint test start to this anyway. But look, the whole point of this workshop, and I think what differentiates it from any other workshop that you might have done on handstands, because like I say, it's the last one you'll need. It's the last course, workshop, whatever thing that you're going to need to actually get your handstand practice down to where you're actually going to be able to do one, is that it's not just a collection of random drills and stuff, and find something that we enjoy doing and looks cool, and then one drill just kind of releases our potential to do the handstand. What we're going to do in this workshop is we're going to break down the handstand into its individual isolated components, right? So there's 4 things that allow us to do a handstand. There's 4 physical movements, and we're going to go through all of them, and you're going to know, and go through them, which one isn't strong enough, right? And that is the thing that's preventing you from actually getting up into the handstand. And so you'll work this drill that's specific to that area, or maybe it's 2 areas. You can work 2 drills that are specific to those areas, and the result is, it's like a chain, right? That old thing of the weakest link in the chain. It's only as strong as that. Same thing with the handstand, right? All 4 links have got to be strong for the handstand to happen. If one of them isn't strong enough, handstand doesn't happen. So guys, let's do this. 1 joint test, okay? Let's set up. So hopefully you got a mat. If not, you've got your bit of carpet space. I'm going to stand right back so that you guys can see me on the cam. All right, so 1 joint test, Broga style. Let's bring the big toes to touch. Lift all the other toes off the ground. Roll the toes down. Guys, there's a chat box on the side of the screen, and if there's any problems with the audio, if the music's too loud, if you can't hear me or something like that, just get at me in the comments section if you can. Post something like that. All good. All right. Now draw the chin back. Drop your lower ribs. Squeeze your glutes. Lift the kneecaps. Fire everything up here like you're ready to take off. It's kind of like a Buzz Lightyear stance. And now I want you to start to develop your breath work here. Okay. So start to inhale through the nose. Big breath in. And then you can let this breath go out through the mouth or the nose. It doesn't really matter which one, okay? Let that breath go. Let's repeat that again. So inhale through the mouth, through the nose, always through the nose. And then you can let this breath go out through the mouth or the nose, doesn't matter. Next breath. Let's inhale through the nose and definitely zip up the mouth on this one. Breathe that breath back out through the nose. And you're trying to take these breaths down to beneath the belly button. 4th breath, inhale through the nose. Exhale back out through the nose again. We're just going to keep it going like that, guys. And you got 1 more here, 1 more really manipulated breath. There's 5 breaths that have been manipulated through the nose. They tap us into the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, and that allows us to be more flexible and to actually get ourselves forward folded so that we can press up into the handstand. Before pressing into a handstand comes compression. Okay, so there's not just about the handstand, guys, it's about the press on the way up as well, because really it don't count unless it comes with the press as well. Okay. All right, guys, let's do this. Inhale, bring the hands up in the air. And exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, forward fold. Inhale, come into halfway lift. Flat back, strong core. Exhale, hands on the mat. Step on back to a plank position. And we're going to set up our vinyasa, so you can do it from the knees or you can do it from the toes if you're ready for that. We're going to exhale all the way down. Keeping the elbows in tight. Inhale, peel the chest off the mat, squeeze the elbows in, that's a little cobra, pushing all the way up into an up dog here. Try actually lift the thighs off the mat if you can. And then exhaling it back into downward facing dog. Have a little freestyle on down dog, move your hips from side to side. Take little twists and find that external rotation, okay? So trying to turn the biceps forward and the elbows backwards because, of course, that's what we're gonna need to do when we do a handstand. Where are your hands as well, guys? Your hands are shoulder distance apart, okay? So why they're shoulder distance apart? Because that's what they're gonna be for a handstand. What are your index fingers doing? They're pointing straight forward and all the other fingers are spread out wide. And why is that? Because that is what we are gonna need to do when we do a handstand. So always practicing a handstand if we have this form in place in our down dog, in our up dog, in our plank, etc. Okay, guys, bend the knees, raise the toes, look forward. Exhale, hop, step, walk, or jump up to the top of the mat. Inhale, come into halfway lift. Exhale, hands under the feet. Give the wrists a little massage with the toes. 3, 2, 1. Hands on the mat, step on that plank position. From here, exhaling forwards and down. Keep the elbows in. Inhale, cobra. Or forward facing dog. Try and lift the thighs off the mat. Exhale backwards. Downward facing dog. Hips high, heels are low. Try and create that triangle position from the side. Pull the back of the mat, pop the feet. We're here for 3. Hold in and breathe in for 2. And on 1, let's do 1 more of those, guys. Bend the knees, exhale, hop, step, walk, or jump up to the top of the mat. Inhale, come into that halfway lift. Exhale, put the hands underneath the feet, massage the wrists with the toes. Exhale, hands on the mat. Step on back to a plank position, and let's exhale it down, chaturanga from the toes or knees. Keep the elbows in. Inhale, up dog, squeeze the shoulders back. And then exhale, take it back through into downward dog, guys. Last down dog here. So what we've done is we've stimulated our parasympathetic nervous system by breathing through the nose. I want you to try and keep that even, in the instructional bits of this, in the demonstrations. And so just try and keep breathing through your nose nice and long and slow. Keep that parasympathetic nervous system dominance, that stimulation. 3, create some blood flow here as well, right? 2, 1, and take it down into all 4s. So guys, first habit, let's start the workshop truly now, okay? First habit, and it might be the most important one. This might be the thing that allows everyone to start to press up into the handstand and hold the top position more so than anything else. It's more fundamental, it might be more important, okay? And it's being strong here in wrist extension. So the first thing I want you to do is check your mobility, okay? Your mobility is a combination of your strength and your flexibility, your active flexibility, in other words. So if you bring your hand here and then you flex it at the wrist, I want you to be pretty much able to form a 90-degree angle here. Okay, same on the other hand. Now, you're also going to have some passive range here probably as well. Right, be able to push that back further. But that's pretty much what you're going to need to be able to press up into a handstand, because of course you've got to lean forward on the hand here and bring it into a lot of extension. Secondarily, of course, relatedly, you're also going to have to be really strong with that. Okay? You're going to have to be able to push your fingertips down into the mat as you lean forward and create that wrist extension. So pressure coming down from the fingertips, pressure coming down here from the forearm as you push that down into the mat, and at least a right angle with your mobility, and then the passive range taking you a little bit further as well. Okay, so having some strength within that range. So that might be the most important thing. Okay, so if you're not already at this angle, if you're like here, maybe you're a climber or something, or you do false grip and stuff, and you spend a lot of time here, you're doing bicep curls and all that kind of like discotheque workout stuff, tight t-shirts, then you might be a little bit short through here. Okay, and so let's condition this. Let's make it strong and flexible at the same time. In other words, we're training on mobility. All right, so guys, take yourself over to your mat. You come slightly closer to the cam. All right, so you can see me here. What I'm going to do is just dome out through the upper back, lean the weight forward into the fingertips, press the fingertips down. Now I want you to press the fingertips down and push your way back so your butt hits your heels, come back up. Don't out the back. Okay, lean forward, lean forward, lean forward. Press the fingertips down, and then try and push your butt back onto your heels again, just from using the fingertips. Okay, push, 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 push. Boom, sitting down there. So when keep going with that, guys. Get a few more reps of that in. We're going to do a Broga style, so we do like two sets of things. Okay, 2 sets of that. And when we have an interactive seminar, I get someone workshop to grab the back of the arms here and pull the person, and then they push their fingertips down and they rip away from it. Okay, so rip is a little bit too dramatic, but they push, and then this person lets go, and they come back and their bum hits their heels. You can also do it with a band tied around here. Let's do 2 more together. Ready, guys? Lean forward, push the fingertips down, and now press yourself back all the way. Boom. Go up through the upper back. Lean forward, push the fingertips down, press back. Boom. Butt hits the heels. Good. Come back to kneeling position, guys. So, that is essential. Okay. But there's one other thing to consider here as well. All right. That is that if you spend a bunch of time in any one position and you get imbalances, then you're going to get an injury, or you're going to get injuries. That's where injuries come from, is the imbalance. And so even though it isn't specific to a handstand, we're going to have to work this flexion of the wrist, okay? So the more time that you spend here getting strong, the more time you've got to spend here. That's just the way it works, okay, guys? So let's do it here on the mat. Same position. Flip your hands over, backs of the hands and wrists. Now, some of us who are really tight here on top of the forearm, they might be bending the elbows here, and that's okay. It's just about getting some time here. But if you can, straighten out the arms, turn the biceps forward, don't mount the upper back. Start to rock back and forth. 5, 4. I'll teach you progression. We'll do it Broga style on the next set, all right? 3, 2, 1. And release those out. Cool. All right. Second set on this. So extension, we're doing supersets for the gym people, the gym heads. You guys know what that is. So don't mount the upper back. And you can make this stronger by moving your knees backwards, okay? You can even do it from like a plank position, I guess, and just lean and push back and forth here. But I kind of like the feeling. You just feel like you can actually push your butt back onto your heels if you do it from tabletop. So I'll leave that up to you guys, okay? Don't mount through the upper back, lean forward, push the fingertip down, 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 push all the way back, boom. That was 1. I want you to keep going to get at least 5 of these. I'm going to talk through a detail up here at the screen. So what's happening, guys, is you probably can't see this from back here, right? Is my hands aren't flat completely. My fingers aren't completely flat. They're slightly gripping the ground. And I do this subtly, right? So mine are just slightly pushed into the floor like this. You'll see some people, you see some teachers, if I use pad of paper to kind of demonstrate it, some teachers won't be like here, like me. They'll be really, some hand balances really exaggerated, like here, all clawed up like a spider. And it's up to you, right? I honestly didn't learn to do that. I just started out flat fingers, but pushing my fingertips down. And that kind of little bend emerged. Some people just start practicing like really bent fingers from day one. I'll leave it up to you guys, okay? They're pushing down, fingertips turning white. All right, that's probably 5 reps of that. So into the second one, superset. Last set here on the wrists. Flip these over. All right, and here's the progression, Broga style, okay? You can move the knees back to make this heavier, and you can also do it from a plank. I'm going to rock a little bit back and forth here on the wrists. Conversely, guys, you can walk the knees forward, actually. I should have taught this one on the first round, probably. Yeah, if it's just overwhelming, you can be here, and you can be even here, like not actually putting the backs of the hands all the way down on the mat. That is okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Good job, guys. Okay. One other thing I use for the wrist, I'm just going to throw this in. I roll them around here, up and down, side, side. I try and draw like figures of 8. I do that continuously whenever I'm kneeling down between sets in whatever's, the format is, if it's a workout, if it's a workshop, if it's a class. If I get to class early, that's what I'm pretty much going to go to, all right? So that was habit 1, okay? Now habit 2, so that was hands and wrists. Habit 2 is shoulders. And when we talk about shoulders, guys, we're actually talking about two things. So both protraction and retraction are involved in this, right? So I guess you could say that there's a part A and a part B to this. And by the way, guys, you're free to jot this stuff down if you want to in your notes on a notebook or something like that. All right. So what do we need to do the handstand? We need shoulder flexion. All right. And what that means is just bringing your arms up. Okay. Shoulder extension, the opposite range, will be bringing your arms back here. So this would be like a tricep dip. I've got some dip bars over there. Boom. Doing those. Just leaning back, east facing pose. Okay, yoga, broga. The flexion, on the other hand, bringing them up here, is a handstand. Now, the thing is, to kind of hold the handstand at the top, you just need this bit to be strong. But we're not just going for that, right? We're actually trying to have a handstand that we can press up and down with, all right? And partly because, if you can press up with control, it's way easier to hold the top position than it is to jump and hop up into it. Honestly, the gymnastics kind of way of doing it, of sticking one leg out and just kind of hopping up, swinging the other leg up, that doesn't work for me that much. I can pipe press handstand with straight legs, but trying to swing up into a handstand is, I think it's a real difficult thing to do. It's not very controlled. Anyway, if you can do it, all good. But shoulder flexion. So we don't just want to get strong here, but we want to get strong dynamically, right? So all the way here, all the way up to here. Okay, that's going to be happening at the same time as this wrist extension, which we've already talked about. What else is happening? Well, there's also something called protraction. Okay, so flexion and protraction per handstand. Two things in this, A and B, all right? So here it is. This is retraction, shoulders back. You recognize that from upward facing dog, right? Retraction, shoulders back, chest forward. Now there's protraction is the opposite, okay? So protraction is this. Doming out the upper back. So it's like there's a flame underneath my chest here, or a spike or something. So from the front, I'm doming out the upper back, guys. I want you to try this. Retraction, protraction. I'll show you one more angle. You can try this with me as well. Sat here, side on. Retraction, which we don't really like. We need to do some of this. This is good. Protraction, round and forward. Here, dome out the upper back as much as you can. Retract, protract, retract, protract. All right. So let's work. Again, we'll do 2 sets of each, and we will do them back and forth. And I'm even going to show you. I think we just about got time for it. I'm going to show you the second. I'm going to show you a second option or something, a second thing that you can use to do flexion, because in my mind, it's probably the ultimate, most important for the most amount of people drill to create a press into handstand and a stable handstand at the top. It's also just a badass difficult thing to do as part of like a HIIT workout or whatever. Okay, if you're training a bit in lockdown, which I assume you are. So let's do this, guys. Protraction first. So come over to your mat. And you can do this from the knees. Let's do it from the knees first, right? I'll throw it in there. Okay, you can do it from plank if you're ready to go ahead. But otherwise, Broga style, I'm going to do the first one from the knees, the second one from plank. We're going to do 12 reps, okay? So no bend in the elbows here. Spin the elbows backwards, spin the biceps forward, external rotation. Push down between index finger knuckles and thumbs, and here we go. Dome it out. That's 1. Down. Dome it out. That's 2. Down. Retract. Down. Retract. Down. Retract. I think that's 5. Down. This is 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Down. Okay, now notice, guys, I wasn't moving my lumbar spine around here. I'm not working for tips, and it's just coming from the shoulder back and forth. All right, this is super important. Unglue your scapula, and it's going to improve everything. It's going to improve your overhead press and up dog, down dog, everything. Everything will get better when you can move your scapula around. You'll feel less tight across your upper back here, and you'll have less knots probably between your shoulder blades around your rhomboids when you get a massage. So, guys, supersetting that with flexion. All right, now think about this, okay? Flexion up here, fine. We've got to create flexion down here because this is actually where the press handstand is going to take off from, right? You're going to be leaning forward here, and then the feet are going to leave the ground. So let's create that by borrowing the plunge drill from gymnastics. All right, try and move my hands like that on camera. All right, I'm going to spin my hands outwards just to take a little bit of pressure off the wrist. All right, I've got my thumbs pointed forward. I'm shoulder distance apart. Doming out the upper back in protraction. Now, potentially, you can play around with this, okay? You don't have to use this. This just takes a bit of pressure off my wrist. I don't really need to work my wrists too much. I'm trying to go for the shoulder as emphasis here. But you can do them like this. And again, it's just going to be a little bit more of habit one in combination with habit two. And it's going to be a really big extension. So you've got to spend a bunch of time back here to balance that. Here's what I'm saying. Practice the mat here, all right? So good, dome out the upper back, guys. And here's what I want you to do. I just want you to lean forward. I'll show you that from the side. So I've domed out the upper back, and I'm leaning forward. I can feel lots of pressure in the front of my shoulders. It's actually straight on bicep work as well, which is cool. Get a bit of a gun show on in quarantine and lockdown. Keep leaning forwards, guys. Hold. 10. 9. So we're going for like a 12 count because we did 12 reps up and down on the retraction protraction. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I want you to lean forward enough that at the end of this you're like failing hard. 3, 2. If you've gone too far, obviously you just lean back a little bit. 1. Good job, guys. Bring the knees down. Okay, supersets. Protraction and shoulder flexion drills independent of one another. So the other thing I want to talk about as well, guys, I don't think I mentioned it, but like, because you might be thinking, well, where does protraction actually come into the handstand? All right, because well, it's throughout, but it's right here. Okay, so when I put my hands down, I can see when someone's going to do a handstand and when someone isn't going to do a handstand just by how they put the hands down. Let me pan this down and show you what I mean. So if someone puts their hands down here, their elbows come out, and they've got pressure on the outside of wrist here. This isn't where we want it. I kind of know that they're not really going to handstand, all right? When somebody puts their hands down and this happens, external rotation, and they dome out their upper back and their fingertips activate and push into the floor, I'm like, wow, this person's about to do a handstand. I know that they are, okay? So look, when I put my hands down here, I don't let my shoulders retract up here. I push the floor away, and I lean forward. Okay, so guys, give me a set of 12 reps on the protraction, retraction, in other words, straight arm push-ups. This is also going to help with wing shoulder blades. So my shoulder blades kind of wing out a little bit there, wing scapula. Okay, they pop out a little bit. Not too bad anymore because I've been doing this kind of stuff for a while now, but it helps with posture. Right, here we go, guys. Plank position or tabletop. Remember, I got that plank option this time, make it a little bit harder. You could even lift an arm off the ground. You can start to play around with these one arm, but hey, here we go. Let's go down and up for 1. Down and up for 2. Down and up for 3. That's this top position that we need. Down into retraction, up for 4. Down, up for 5. Down, up for 6. Down, up for 7. Down, up 8. Down, up 9, down, up 10, down, up 11, down, up for 12, and bring it down, kneeling position. Remember this, let's bring it back. Swap it one knuckle along, a little roll out, take a couple of breaths. So obviously there's some time and attention here, isometrically for the front of the shoulder, anterior deltoid, and that's what we're working in the next movement. So all these things are going to help each other out, guys. All these things are going to help each other out. Like you're even an extension here, right, whilst you're doing that. So the improvement will come quickly. Here we go. All right, plunge lean. So remember, you're probably going to go here. If you're really interested in plunge, by the way, guys, And you want to look it up afterwards, and planche leans, you can look up all the different versions of those, and you can see the full planche, which is somebody flying with just their hands on the floor. You're going to need some sort of Olympic champion gymnast to show you that one. That's out of my repertoire. But Planche, like planche is how it's pronounced. Yeah, you can check that out, okay? But anyway, let's do the drill. So create that position, lean forward, pressure's going here, thumbs point forward, okay? Get that pistol stretch there, boom, other fingers are out, and we're going 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring the knees down. Good job, guys. Release the wrists out. Okay, cool. So we've done 2 sets of each, right? And we supersetted them. Now, I remember saying to you that there's one more thing that I want to show you, okay? Because if you don't take anything else away from this workshop, and if you don't remember or write down the 4 areas, the 4 links of the chain, if you will, and identify which one you need to work on, and then remember and work on that specific drill. If you don't remember anything else, just remember this part of the workshop, all right? And it's going to save you a lifetime of practicing handstands, okay? So no one ever gets a handstand this way, okay, kicking up towards the wall. Because you can see that my core has had to turn off. I've had to go into this passive banana back to actually get my feet on the wall, okay? So that's something that we never want to do. So literally, that's going to teach us how not to do a handstand. All right, what we do want to do is, come all the way over here so you can see me, is use the wall this way around. Walk right up to it. I generally look between my hands, but for this drill, I might just bring my nose up to the wall, walk my way back down, and I can just repeat those. Bring the feet back on the wall, start walking up. And you don't have to go all the way up either, guys. You can stop here. You can even stop right down here and just keep spending some time there. Keep retracting your shoulders. So I went to, I'm not a CrossFitter, I haven't done much of that, but I went to a CrossFit class once. They used that as part of like a warm-up. It's a pretty intense warm-up. I tend to use it as a conditioning drill. So if you wanted to make as much progress with the handstand as possible, as quickly as possible, and I don't know why you wouldn't practice like that. What I'd probably do is take that drill, a couple of the other drills. So you've got maybe 3 out of this workshop, the ones that identify the weakest link in your chain, or the 2 weakest links, perhaps, maybe 3, and just work them not quite to total muscular failure, but do like a challenging set. Sit up, shake this off. Maybe you want to work your squat position. I tend to try and rest in the squat position. This off, take a few breaths, maybe more than a few breaths, maybe like 45 seconds or something. Do the next drill. 45 seconds or something. Do the next drill. Just keep going around like that. And then if you can tolerate it, you can do that kind of stuff for an hour. It starts driving you a little bit crazy because it's quite tedious. It's very repetitive, but that boredom and repetition is like the barrier to entry for doing a handstand, right? It's the reason why everyone doesn't do a handstand, is because the practice of these motions is quite repetitive. So try and find some pleasure, some joy in the repetition. That's what I do. There's people out there running ultra marathons around like a little running track. There's people doing mad stuff like that. So there's a coolness about repetition. Okay, try and find the beauty in it rather than writing it off as boring. Try and practice in an environment with some music you like, whatever it is. Okay. All right, guys. So do those wall walks. If you did nothing else but doing those wall walks, getting as close as you can to that wall, coming down, increasing that over time. Obviously, you're developing strength all through that range of motion for flexion. Your fingertips are going to be working a bit. You're going to improve your balance a bit. Balance is really just a result of strength. So yeah, I recommend that, guys. That's super important. All right. It's a really important drill. Do not kick up against the wall. People do that because it's easy, right? And it's easy because you don't use any of the muscular firing patterns that you actually need to do a handstand. Hence, you're training yourself not to do a handstand. You're actually training yourself to do the banana back thing. But we will talk about that in our next habit, in our next section of the workshop, which, as a matter of fact, is right now, guys. So this is section 3 of the workshop. This is called core. Okay, so a little recap. Section 1, or habit 1 of 4, that was wrist extension and strength through the fingertips, so hands and fingers. Section 2, shoulder flexion and protraction. By the way, when the arms come up as well, and the shoulders are they're coming up around the ears here. All right, so you're going from like protraction all the way up to here. This is now called elevation, right? Elevation, depression, elevation. So I guess you could say elevation, protraction, and shoulder flexion. Now this is section 3, so this is about your core, and I've got some new thoughts about this. Okay, I recently taught the full-length kind of handstand workshop for Yoga Haven, and talked about this sort of new theory that I have about the core in regards to a handstand, and I'll include it in this workshop as well because I think we got time. So here it is, guys. All right. I believe that you had to have a super strong core to do a press handstand, both in terms of your rectus abs, which I guess you could think of as like your six-pack abs, and in terms of your transverse abs, the ones that lift below the belly button. All right. Now I was half right. I think that you do have to have a really strong transverse abdominis. As you press down and press up, you're going to feel it there, like, oh, and you're going to feel it here, and you feel it here and here. As you start to push down, that's where you feel a handstand. However, you don't really have to have a ripping six-pack to do a handstand or to hold one, all right? There's this, like, if you're in a handstand, gravity is having the same effect on your body, the other way up, but, you know, you're not sideways, right? You're that way to that way. It's having the same effect on you as if you're standing up. So if you have the core strength to do this and just be neutral spine up and down, or even preferably for the handstand, a slight posterior pelvic tilt to actually round your lower back slightly. And gentlemen tend to be better at this than the ladies, but they tend to struggle more with back bends in practice and king pigeon poses and stuff like that. It's just the way it goes. We tend to have these sort of genetic advantages and disadvantages between the genders. But yeah, if you've got a chronic lordosis and your lower back sticking out here, your butt sticking out here, and your lower back super arched, and you literally can't switch this on, then yeah, you're gonna have to strengthen it a bit. So with that in mind, I was about to do 2 sets of exercises. One for rectus abs, six-pack abs, and one for, which I used to say kind of held you here and wouldn't allow you to banana back. You've got to get stronger to get this straight line. Now I think that pretty much everyone's got the strength to do it without doing those drills. And then the transverse abs, the deep core muscles, allow you to actually lift and press up into the handstand. I'm still going to teach both exercises, okay? And why am I going to do this first one then, the rectus abs, if we don't necessarily need it to stay up? Because you have to develop at least the body awareness, okay? So someone out there might not even be strong enough to switch them on and just stand up properly, all right? So they're going to need this. But you have to have the awareness of what the shape should feel like, what the position should feel like when you're up in a handstand, all right? So we'll create that on the ground. We'll create that right position so you can recognize what it is and you can feel what it is in your body. And that in itself just happens to be an abdominal exercise, six-pack abs, all right? The other cool thing about this, guys, is that if your core gets stronger, which it will, the whole of the rest of your body gets stronger. So your fingertip pressure will improve. Even if you do something crazy unrelated, like a bicep curl or something, that's going to improve because your core got stronger, okay? Core is the on button for the body. Let's do this. All right, guys. So we'll do 2 sets, and I'll teach I'll teach Broga style. Let me go this way around. I'll teach Broga style, so I'll teach the progressions. All right. So first one is right here, knees directly over hips, heels in line with knees. Press your lower back into the floor. So the opposite of what I want you to do. If you're going to do this wrong, if you're going to do this incorrectly, you'll be here. Can you see I'm arching my lower back and I can touch my hands together? This is the wrong position for a handstand. Push your lower back down into the floor real strongly. Push it down like you're trying to imprint your spine into the mat, into the carpet. Push down through here. Feel your rectus abs switch on. And reaching for the heels, the shoulder blades are off the mat as well. So we never want to have a handstand unless it's going to become like a purposely, back bending, hollow back handstand or something like that. Never want to have a handstand with a bent, arched back, and you're going to see a ton of those when you look around you in yoga classes and social media and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but we're not building this. We're going to build a correct, good handstand. And then if we come out of position, it's because we're trying to do something funky on purpose. It's like learning to box. We'll learn jab, cross, hook, uppercut. And then if we start to fully shell and do all this funky stuff or come out of position on purpose or drop our hands or something, it's because we actually decided to do it. It's not just because we don't know what we're doing, all right? That's how we think about this. And 3, keep holding. 2, 1, release out. Good. All right, let's train transverse abdominis and then we'll do 2 sets of each as we've been doing, okay? Transverse abdominis. I do these for a few different reasons. This is something I do a few times a week, probably 3 times a week on average. So I'm going to point feet, just because a handstand generally has point feet. You could do it with dorsiflex feet, it wouldn't be the end of the world, whatever, but I'm going to create a pattern. I might fly the toes, but I'm at least going to point here, plantar flex from the ankle. All right, so we'll do progressions as well. First set, here's a slightly easier way that we can get into it. We're going to lean back. The more you lean back, the easier this will be because you're giving yourself a bit of a seesaw effect. But I don't want you to squeeze these too much again. I want you to now use your hip flexors up through here, which are being pulled on by your transverse abdominis. So you know that exercise of like Bikram yoga or Kapalabhati? Yeah, you can't really see this. It might just look like I'm doing some mad breathing thing, right? With my mouth. I'm vacuuming below my belly button. You see that, okay? So I want you to do that. I want you to lift and vacuum and then use that to pull and lift your leg up, straight, down. Good, that was 1. Up, down. Good, that was 2. Up, down. 3. Up, down. 4. Up, down. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Let's do 12. 11. 12. Cool. Release that out. All right, now we're going to do set with the legs together, so this is going to be pretty hard. If you haven't got this today, then maybe, you just kind of bend the knees up into the stomach there. That'll be okay. You can just keep working those tucks. All right, but give this a go. All right, you can lean back to help yourself out with it. But big chest, lift below the belly button, lift both legs down. What I'd rather you do, even than the tuck, is if you can, just lift the legs slightly. Even if it's small like that and they drop a little bit heavy, that's okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Damn. 12 was a big number. Let's choose for that one. God damn. Here we go. All right, guys. We're going to go through this a second time, and I'm going to show you the progression, all right? Rectus abs. Here we go. So I'll show you a slightly different angle. So same thing again, all right? Here, reach forward. That can be it. But we're going to actually create a handstand this time. So point the legs, squeeze the legs together, squeeze your butt. Keep your lower back on the floor. If you straighten out the legs and then this happens, this arching of the lower back off the mat, then nothing good is happening anymore. You're more about hip flexors again. So press the lower back down right here. You can even bring the hands overhead here, and that is the handstand position, okay? So you can see the handstand is that slight flexion of the spine. What that means is my back should be slightly rounded when I'm up in a handstand and not arched and bent like that. Unless, again, we've mastered our straight line handstand and we're taking it into some other funky direction and doing some mad yoga back bends and putting our feet on the back of our head in scorpion positions and all these other things, all right? Anyway, 3, been there for a while, 2, 1, release out of that, good. All right, that's hard work. You can test that with a partner as well. If somebody pushes on your legs, you should make your whole body rock like a dish. The legs shouldn't just go up and down on their own because that means the core isn't connecting everything. That's what your core does, right? Connects everything. That's why a strong core makes us so athletic, because the coordination of movement, upper body to lower body, it comes from the core. The core coordinates the upper body and lower body. All right. And it's involved with every movement, even stuff that's seemingly unrelated, like pull-ups or bench press or whatever. All right. So guys, that was 3 sets. So we've got 1 more to go. And I'm going to show you the progression, Broga style. Right, we're adding on the progression with the next set. So you can go here again and do this stuff. Fine. Well, I'd like to at least try separate the C-bones a bit. You're going to lift here, scoop in the belly and lean forward. And it's like you've hooked your stomach kind of over your legs a little bit, right? Now you're going to squeeze your legs, keeping it completely straight. I want you to lift a foot up and then down. And then the other foot up and down. And it's fine if you only lift 1 millimeter. Obviously, if you come slightly further back, it's easier. If you go further forward, it's harder. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Done. Not quite. We've got to do the double leg lifts. All right. Now, obviously, this is real hard with the hands forward. But I want you to at least try this because, honestly, guys, when you take off in a pike press handstand, so when you forward fold, legs together, and your legs lift up into that press handstand, aside from what's going on with your hands, wrist, shoulders, it mostly feels like this. This is as close a sensation as you can get to actually lifting up. It's to hinge forward and then lift both legs at the same time. Ready? These are real hard. So let's say 6. All right. We'll cut the reps in half. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, guys. To stretch that out a little bit, I sometimes take the east facing pose, but it also gives you shoulder extension as well, which is a bit of a break from flexion. Obviously, there's a bunch of different things you can do here. A little hip bridge or yoga mini bridge. You could take more of a passive kind of cobra style stretch or maybe an active up facing dog. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release out of that. Cool. All right. So 3 out of 4 habits are down. Okay. We have habit 1, wrist extension. And remember, there is a part B to that. So A, extension, B, flexion, which we practice just so that we don't get overtrained and injured in one range of motion. Unbalanced, I should say, rather than overtrained. Habit B, shoulders. Habit 2, that was an A and a B. Protraction is A. So strong abdominals, not really because we need to have super strong abdominals. They're helpful, we should have them, and train in the position. So we know what it feels like to be in a good handstand position like there. Cool, I'm in a good handstand position here. Okay, this isn't a good handstand position. You can think of it as just being able to stretch and I think a forward fold. Another way of doing it, you have a pike press version right up here. Exhale, hinge, fold forward, and we start to take off, lean forward, push, take off into the handstand from here. But check this out, guys. It's not just as simple as like, so you want to be able to put your hands on the floor. There's more to it than here. I don't feel that flexible here today. Let's make it worse. Let's say I'm here, all right? Now look, if I want to, because I've got to lean so far forward, I can't even get that far forward. Then my shoulders and all that upper body weight is counterbalancing my butt, my quads, my hamstring, all the biggest muscles in the body, right? Trying to counterbalance them so that my feet can come off the ground. And to be honest, that's going to almost be like a proof. So if you've got a nice like middle splits and you've got mobility and control of it, ballet, ballerinas, they're probably the best at this, right? They can fold themselves potentially in half here. I'm like not doing it, but I'm close-ish, right? Folding myself real deep, compressing up real tight, and then from there, you see that my legs, they don't have to come out here, and my head doesn't have to go miles that way. I don't have to create huge wrist extension there on the floor. Huge wrist extension. I have tons of strength here because my legs are going back, lean forward, and then up together. So this is happening, right? Notice this arm doesn't move too much. That's my leg going up with flexibility. That flexibility forward, leg comes up backwards and then up. And I lean back to create the balance. And I lean forward again and then back on the way down, okay? If that makes sense. So what I'm saying is that we have to have an excellent forward fold. Now, do it practice. So, guys, I want you to come into, if you know your Sanskrit, it's Paschimottanasana. So this is a pike forward, seated forward fold, all right? So I'm going to lift here, flex the feet. I want you to flex the feet, squeeze your quads on this one, and just see how far down you can come. No need to like grab the toes here because I want you to kind of measure how far your fingertips go forward. So 5 breaths, and just crawl forward into it. So even here I'm practicing a handstand, right? Because you probably saw that if you're watching the screen, I've flipped my position. Always be practicing good posture, unhabitual posture. That's going to get you handstands. It's going to improve your broga. It's going to improve your posture. Improve your posture, improves all of your neurotransmitter balances, secretions, reuptakes, the big 4, GABA, acetylcholine, serotonin, and dopamine. We're well off topic now. Okay, guys, have a look at your fingertips. Check how far out they've got. Calm back up. Good. Now I want you to point the feet. So feet are pointed now, plantar flexed. Lift below the belly button, hinge fold forward, crawl the fingertips forward. Squeeze the quads, lift below the belly button. Take a few breaths here. Bring it back up. All right, so here's the question, guys. Between 1 and 2, was the second one significantly deeper? Were you more flexible in the second one than the first one? If the answer is yes, if you're more flexible with pointed feet, plantar flex feet, then you probably have some restriction, or maybe almost all of your restriction is coming from your nerves, right, rather than your muscles. So it's nerve-based, it's not muscular. And you can feel the difference because if I kind of stretch with the bent leg here, I feel a bit of my hamstrings. If I straighten it out and then pull, I can feel it kind of more like a weird numb sensation in the back of the knee, and that's probably more nerves, all right? So we can't stretch nerves. Well, we can, we just, they don't like it. It's not going to do anything useful for them. So what we'll instead do is we'll do a nerve floss, okay? So how I would suggest using a nerve floss is you maybe do it before the practice starts. It's going to be better to do it before rather than after. And maybe do 12 again. 12 is the number we use today. You could go anywhere between 10 and 15, I reckon. Here it is. You lie back. You grip back your leg, pull it up until you feel a bit of a stretch. And my foot is dorsiflexed here. I'm going to move further back. It's important that you see what happens with my foot. Okay? Then you're going to pull heel to bum. Point the foot. Point it up. Sky. Flex. Butt. Point. Sky. Heel. Butt. Point. Sky. Heel. Butt. So you want to just be able to feel a slight stretch. If you can't, pull this a little bit more. Point, sky, flex, heel, butt. Point, heel, sky, flex, heel, butt. Switch legs. And you can do 2 sets again. 2 sets will work this pretty well. Heel, butt. Point, sky, heel, butt. Point, Sky. Heel. But I don't want you to probably even go slower than I am. Have a little bit more control of this. And release that down. Check it out. Let's go for a second set, guys. So bring that right leg up and point. Foot goes up to the sky. Dorsiflexor. Heel comes back to the butt. Just give it a couple more on each side. And in terms of improving your flexibility, guys, all just really about getting strong at the end of your range of motion, okay? So obviously, you're probably feeling a bit of a burn here from the hip flexors, and that's good. You're getting stronger at the end range of motion. When we did these leg lifts, I bet you could definitely feel get stronger on the front side, on the anterior here, and that's good. We also want to get stronger with your hamstrings in the fold, and that will happen with things like halfway lift. Even happen in the forward fold a little bit, but I really like active poses, active yoga asana with a bent leg position like this here. So you're going to take a little bend, hinge and fold forward, keep your back straight without rounding out, hold, and active stuff like that warrior 3 position. There's some good Broga blocks on that. Okay guys, finish up what you're doing. I haven't done the second leg yet. Three, 2, 1, and bring it up to seated. All right, guys, good job with that. So remember, 4 links of a chain, if you will, okay? Chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So you might have determined which one wasn't strong enough when you tried to do a handstand before this class, or you might have determined which one wasn't strong enough whilst you were doing these isolated drills during the class. I want you to practice drills on those weaker links, and then the handstand will come as a result of that, okay? Many different ways to enter a handstand. You can hop into it from down dog. But again, I like to encourage people to work on the press. The press is a true handstand if you can press up with control. And so, when you want to actually test it, if you're like, okay, I think I'm strong enough now, let's give it a test. And it's good we can even incorporate this whole complete compound now into your drill and your practice. Wide-legged forward fold, it's going to be easier, of course, than this, because the lead's a bit longer. Lean forward, push the fingertips down, protract, flexion, lean, 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 lean. And the handstand comes, all right? But if it doesn't come, then still getting that time, just leaning forwards, pushing the fingertips down. You're training your shoulder flexion, you're training your wrist extension, you're training all that stuff at the same time. That might get you a handstand in and of itself. To kind of recap on this, on everything that we did today, in an even more abbreviated format, you could have a look at, if you type in handstands Ben Harrison on YouTube, there's content from Broga, there's content from Warrior Addict, where I do handstands, little tutorials, bits and pieces. So yeah, definitely check those out, guys. And let me give you one little thing now, just to we've got a couple of extra minutes. I'm gonna throw this one in as a bonus. All right. This is gonna allow you to practice more, basically, to recover better from your practice. And here it is. What's going to get tired, especially when you start to become a very competent hand balancer and handstander, is not so much your shoulders. It's going to be more your fingers, your hands, and that underside of your forearm. Okay, so really, really advanced hand balances. Like I mean, you know, Dylan Werner. If you're into the yoga scene, then you know who that guy is. That's where he talks about getting tired. You know, he doesn't ever talk about it in the shoulders or fatiguing or whatever. So here's how you can release a little bit of blood pooling from your forearms and continue practicing or recover from practice. All right, and it's literally like this, guys. So forearm comes down. You can do it with the bone saw here. All right. If you wanted to go heavier with it, you can actually put your knee on the back of it. You can use the other knee, whatever. And it's just self-massage, all right? What I could do is move tissues over the knee or the elbow. Then you stretch that out a little bit. Ideally, I probably want to hold that stretch for like 40 seconds, 40. Now I'm going to do the other side. Again, really important to stay balanced with your practice and rehab, because you don't want to pick stuff up like golfers' elbows injuries or tennis elbow injury and stuff like that from imbalances. It's probably the main thing that people say to me at the start of the yoga class. I come up and they say, "Hey, I've got a wrist injury. Like, I'm gonna practice chaturangas on my fist and stuff. Is that okay?" You know, you want to avoid that obviously as much as possible, guys. Thank you guys very much. If there's any questions or anything come up, hit me up. I'm at Ben Harrison Yoga. My email address, benharrisonyoga@gmail.com. My website is at benharrisonyoga.com. So it's all Ben Harrison Yoga, all is one word, HARRISON. And that's it, guys. Go forth, handstand. Tag me in your handstand stuff on social media, and I'll give you some feedback on it if you'd like that. That's it, guys. All right. So cheers. Thank you. Namaste. And have a good rest of your evening.